In Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino, Marco Polo says to Kubla Khan, "With cities, it is as with dreams. Everything imaginable can be dreamed. But even the most unexpected dream is a rebus that conceals a desire, or its reverse, a fear. Cities, like dreams, are made of desires and fears. Even if the thread of their discourse is secret, their rules are absurd, their perspectives deceitful, and everything conceals something else." Looking for archetypes.
Looking for archetypes.
Looking for archetypes.
Looking for archetypes. About 122 AD, the Emperor Hadrian ordered a wall to be built to separate Romans from the tribes in the highlands who had resisted Roman rule. Hadrian's Wall is one of the greatest monuments to the power and limitations of the Roman Empire, which ceased its 700-year-long growth in that century.
The original Great Wall of China was built by the first emperor to unify the Chinese Empire in the 3rd century BC.
When the first Europeans arrived, the area around Chinatown and Little Italy, later called New York Bay, was populated primarily by the Lenape, an Algonquin-speaking people. They subsisted mostly on slash-and-burn agriculture and fishing. The Lenape lived in small groups and moved seasonally from camp to camp and had no concept of private ownership of land.
Canal Street, the major street joining Brooklyn and New Jersey via the Holland Tunnel, is seen as the borderline between Chinatown and Little Italy. It's a busy commercial district with stores selling items such as perfume, hardware, industrial plastics, and various gray market products. Many cheap imported trinkets and knockoffs of designer items. In Invisible Cities, it is said,
the connections between one element of the story and another were not always obvious to the emperor. The objects could have various meanings.
The foreigner had learned to speak the emperor's language, or the emperor to understand the language of the foreigner.
The neighborhood called Little Italy grew as Italian immigrants began to arrive in great numbers in the late 1800s, forced by unemployment and poverty in their home country. Between 1860 and 1880, 68,500 Italians moved to New York. By 1920, 391,000 Italians lived in the city.
Chinatown started on Mott Street, Park, Pell, and Doyer Streets, east of the notorious Five Points district. By 1870, there were 200 Chinese residents. By 1900, there were 7,000 Chinese, but fewer than 200 Chinese women.
My name is Louis Rossi,
And you were born here on 14th Street?
here in New York City.
And you were raised with
In the neighborhood that they call today Little Italy.
Right, but then it was really all Italian, right?
That is from all the way down the waterfront, all the way up to 14, 15 Street, all kind of people, east and west, in about 1910.
Wow. So you've been here a long time.
My father used to probably Italian music. I got sheet music underneath there way back in 1900, right on Box Street.
How long you in this store here?
Oh, here we about 50 years.
In the same store? In this store?
We had a store up more better than we moved up at 187 grand.
So
If you look at the songs, it's written 187 grand.
many Italians moved away from here, yes?
Yeah, but they come on Mulberry Street.
They come back?
They live in Brooklyn, like Bay Ridge, Benson Heights, Coney Island, East New York, West Side, East Side, Hoboken, and Newark. They come to New York. Yeah.
They come here to eat?
They come down at night and down here to the restaurants.
Little Italy gradually shrank. Large portions were absorbed by Chinatown as immigrants from China and other East Asian countries moved to the area.
Today, only the section of Mulberry Street between Broome and Canal Streets, lined with Italian restaurants popular with tourists, remains distinctly recognizable as Little Italy. By the 1980s, New York City had surpassed San Francisco's Chinatown as the largest enclave of Chinese immigrants in the Western Hemisphere. Millions of eyes look up at windows, bridges, capers, and they might be scanning a blank page. Many are the cities which elude the gaze of all, except the man who catches them by surprise. New York City has over 8 million people within 321 square miles, 26,700 people per square mile.
New York County is the most densely populated county in the U.S. The earliest documentation of fireworks dates back to the 7th century China. They were first used to frighten away evil spirits and also to pray for happiness and prosperity.
It has been said often that Italians brought fireworks to the fore as celebration. The so-called first family of American fireworks is the Grucci family from southern Italy, who started in 1850 and came to New York City through Ellis Island in 1870.
Chinese New Year is the longest and most important festivity in the lunar calendar. Its origin is centuries old and is connected with several myths and traditions.
The Chinese lion dance is known to have originated from the legend of the Nian. According to that legend, the beginning of Chinese New Year's started with the fight against the mythical beast called the Nian, who came at the New Year to devour livestock, crops, and people, especially children. To protect themselves, the villagers put food in front of their doors. It was believed that after the Nian ate that food, it wouldn't attack any more people. The Nian is also sensitive to loud noises. The villagers hit plates, drums, and empty bowls, and threw fireworks that would scare off the Nian. From then on, he never came back to the village and was eventually captured by an ancient Taoist monk. He's still believed to exist, but is scattered about the jungle and mountains, never to appear in front of a human again. Saint Januarius, in Italian San Gennaro, is a Catholic martyr. No contemporary sources on his life are preserved, but legends claim that he died during the Diocletianic persecution, which ended in 305 AD. He and his colleagues were condemned to be thrown to wild bears in the Flavian amphitheater at Pozzuoli, but the sentence was changed due to fear of public disturbances, and instead they were beheaded. Other legends say that the wild beast refused to eat them, or that they were thrown into a furnace but came out unscathed.
In 1219, Anthony of Padua came in contact with 5 Franciscan friars who were on their way to Morocco to preach. Anthony was strongly attracted to the simple gospel lifestyle of the Franciscans. When he found out that the 5 Franciscans were martyred, he meditated on their heroism and joined the Franciscan order. In Assisi, he sought admission into a monastery, but met with difficulty because of his sickly appearance. He was finally assigned, out of pure compassion, to the rural hospice of San Paolo, near Forli, Romagna, Italy. There he appears to have lived as a hermit and was put to work in the kitchen. Think of the story of the Buddha. In 1976, the statue of Confucius in front of Confucius Plaza became a common meeting place for Chinatown residents. On Bayard Street is the Wall of Democracy, where political writings about events in Beijing are posted.
It's all about food as cultural experience and for tourism. Pasta is a gastronomical exploration.
It's easy to preserve and equally easy to transport and cook.
It comes in approximately 600 different shapes.
The Chinese also have an extensive array of different types of pasta, most from ancient recipes.
Noodles are a symbol of longevity in Chinese culture. They are as much a part of a Chinese birthday celebration as a birthday cake with lit candles is in many countries, including Italy. Since noodles do symbolize long life, it is considered very unlucky to cut up a strand.
This is Columbus Park, the only park in the Chinatown area. In the 19th century, it was the most dangerous slum area of immigrant New York City. The days when Italian men played bocce here are long gone. Now Chinese men play Chinese checkers.
Italo Calvino believes that you take the city with you when you leave it. Today it really is Little Italy. Quite a change from its heyday last century. Now only a few Italian Americans call the neighborhood home. The only true remaining remnant of Little Italy is Mulberry Street, north of Canal. The section known as Nolita is starting to be filled with Chinese residents as well.
Over 250,000 Chinese live and work in the tightly packed, self-sufficient community of winding, narrow, and overcrowded streets that is Chinatown today.
The following is from the introductory chapter in Invisible City. The Great Khan's Atlas contains also the maps of the promised lands visited in thought, but not yet discovered or founded. New Atlantis, Utopia, the City of the Sun, Oceania, Tamawe, New Harmony, New Lanark, Icaria, Kublai's Est, Marco. You who go about exploring and who see signs can tell me toward which of these futures the favoring winds are driving her. Marco Polo replied,
For these ports, I could not draw a route on the map or set a date for the landing. At times, all I need is a brief glimpse, an opening in the midst of an incongruous landscape, a glint of light in the fog, the dialogue of two passer-by meeting in the crowd. And I think that, setting out from there, I will put together, piece by piece, the perfect city, made of fragments mixed with the rest, of instants separated by intervals, of signals one sends out, not knowing who receives them.
There's a Buddhist saying that everything is fleeting.
Heraclitus, a wonderful harmony arises from joining together the seemingly unconnected.